Hey, hi everybody, welcome back from the break. The next talk in this room is from Colin Mulliner. It's called Advanced Attacks Against Pocket PC Phones, and he will now show you how you can own such a phone using an MMS. Enjoy.
So, hello everybody. Hello? Hello? Okay. So, the talk is was already like 6 months old. I did the first version of it at DEF CON, but yeah, I guess nobody read the slides as usual, so new stuff for everybody. So, yeah, this time, actually today, right after the talk, I will release the full source code to the exploit with all necessary tools, so you can have some fun. Yeah. Okay, what's the talk about? So it's about attacking Pocket PC smartphones and the vulnerability analysis of phones or smartphones, and what's necessary to actually do some fuzzing on a phone. So we're going to fuzz and look at the MMS service, and in particular the client side, so the thing that runs on your phone. Yeah, first we're going to show you the current state-of-the-art attacks against mobile phones and smartphones. Very, very short overview over Pocket PC. Then we're going to look at the multimedia messaging service, and then we do some testing. And then I show you how to own a phone via MMS. And then we have some conclusions and maybe some discussion later. So the basic state-of-the-art attacks is, one is Bluetooth, where you basically take control over a phone, so you can initiate calls, send MMS, send text messages, steal some data like the phone book, maybe the nude pictures on your phone you made from your girlfriend. So watch out. And some denial of service attacks. And of course, there are all those third-party applications from all the hobby programmers which didn't think about security. So you can do some, maybe even some code injection, of course, denial of service attacks. Some fun, but we can do better. So of course, there were like earlier attacks against MMS, which were not really attacks against MMS, which just used MMS message as an transport mechanism for installing malware, Trojans, and most of these worms were written for Symbian, and they required a lot of actual user interaction to actually, before the worm or whatever is finally installed and running and is able to spread, which is from an from a serious attacker's view, not too cool. And the basic, the most common examples are ComWarrior and the Mabir worm. So, and there are these older SMS-based attacks which are really, really super lame, but they work. So there is like this Nokia V card, like the business card thing, which has really a format string vulnerability in the parser. So fun, but yeah. And the Siemens crash because you have an unusual. Sorry for that. Some unusual characters in an SMS message. And the phone basically crashed or reboots. If you have any questions, just call for the microphone guy and ask. I won't bite. So of course, other people before me looked at Pocket PC and what they can do to attack them. And of course, again, third-party applications like FTP servers were exploited. There's actually a very nice buffer overflow in the Bluetooth stack of Pocket PC, where you can actually already do real code injection on an out-of-the-box application. But Tim, the guy who founded it, decided to not release it because I don't think it was Microsoft, but whoever wrote the stack said, oh, we're not going to fix it people should buy new phones, so he never released it. It's a really nice attack, and there's a Bluetooth OBEX push attack where you can just bypass the authentication and have full access to the file system. The active sync attack, yeah, it's just a deny of service, and there are these like local attacks, which are, yeah, you can insert an SD card and auto-run application. So, well, it's not really interesting for us because we want to do remote stuff. So, yeah. So Pocket PC is the the Windows CE version that's used on PDAs and smartphones. Yeah, most of you probably heard of Windows CE, and it just stands for the Windows version for consumer electronics. It basically runs on x86, SH, and ARM, but yeah, I only worked with ARM-based devices because yeah, most phones, PDAs are ARM-based. And the current version is 5.0 or 5X by now. So, but all the devices I looked at are run 4.2, so the Windows CE.NET. But yeah. So, but there, yeah, as I said, like there are many Windows CE 4.2 devices, and so yeah, still, so it's not like outdated. So the sample, so some sample devices I was working with is just, yeah, basically a PDA with a GSM chip included. Just turn your PDA into a phone. So yeah, nothing too interesting besides the wireless LAN, which we'll show you later, is really makes a nice attack against these devices. Yeah, the Windows CE OS is pretty bad. They don't have real virtual address spaces. Yeah, they're limited to 32 concurrent processes. You don't have a thread limit, but normally you don't have a lot of memory, so that basically limits the number of threads. So it's, yeah, the 32 concurrent process. So the limitation is especially interesting for writing exploits. So keep that in mind for later. So security, haha. Windows CE. Yeah. It's a single user OS, or I don't think they have the notion of users. So you can lock your device, but that's optional. Yeah, any process can basically access any resource in the system. So really, once you run code, you can do whatever you want. You can access any file in the file system, start Bluetooth, make Bluetooth connections, access the mobile phone interface. So yeah, there is no real security, so it's kind of funny to have that on a mobile phone. Yeah, I'm not actually going to talk too much about the exploiting techniques, or just very limited, because it's so well covered by now. There was like a good talk at 2004 who started the whole Pocket PC thing. There is, and then 2003 talks in 2005, or actually 2 talks in a paper. So anybody who's interested has plenty of stuff to read. And yeah, Windows CE exploitation, buffer overflows, stack smashing is like on the PC. You overwrite the return address and hijack the control flow of the program, and it's yours. So it's, yeah, just have to take care about the special stuff you have to do on the ARM architecture. But so there are some basic issues. Of course, you don't have a shell, so just like exploiting and running a remote shell, a bind shell, BitConnect shell, whatever, is not possible. So you actually have to implement whatever you want to do. So if you want to, I don't know, read a file, you really have to like implement the whole thing. So and the slot thing is the other problem. Since you don't have a virtual address space for each application, you have to actually guess in which memory part the application is executing. in order to hit the right return address, where you actually have to do some guessing. The guessing is not as hard if you do some statistics and look, oh, okay, it's basically always the same. But yeah, it's not, you will probably never be able to have like a one-shot, 100% secure way of exploiting a vulnerability. But that's okay, as we will see later. So yeah, the multimedia messaging service, probably like everybody knows about it. Germany or Europe basically known as MMS. In the US they say picture messaging because they don't like technical acronyms over there. So yeah, it's basically a multimedia or a multimedia content transport system. Can like just stuff pictures, audio, video, and of course text in such a message and send it to the other device. But yeah, you can also, of course, include other data, like the Symbian worms just put a Symbian installer in it. So yeah, you can just send whatever you want. And like email, you basically need an infrastructure. So you send your MMS to a server, and that sends to another server, which then sends it to the client. So you need some infrastructure, and yeah, of course, you have to pay a fee for each message, which is also kind of interesting. So that's like the cool explanation they have on their standards with this really pretty picture with this really pretty colors. So yeah, you can put a picture in it and play some sound. So yeah. So the MMS architecture is actually, or the MMS system is actually a total ripoff because it's not a mobile service. It's just like some crappy IP service. You have basically an HTTP server and a WAP gateway, and just transport your data over HTTP and WAP. Of course, you use GPRS for it. And you have an MMF server, a relay, the WAP gateway, which also does some push proxying. I will explain it in more detail in just a second. And you have, of course, it utilizes MMS. So yeah, just like all the crap we actually know about, like HTTP, IP, WAP. And yeah, many people who like play with phones, of course, know SMS and what you can do with more than just send messages. So yeah, in the first picture you see how an MMS is actually sent. So first, of course, you create the message, and the sender basically just opens the GPRS connection, does a WAP post, which is just translated to an HTTP post, which goes to the MMS relay. The MMS relay takes it, does some parsing, stores it, and then forwards it. So it's pretty straightforward. Very easy to implement your own MMS application. Yeah, and the receiving is a little more interesting since it also utilizes SMS. So in the first step, the MMS server wants its if the MMS server is the same for the sender and receiver, there's no another step. But if it's on a different network, the one MMS server from the one network just sends it to the MMS server of the another network. So the final MMS server just like initiates a notification which is sent over the WAP push gateway, which just converts it to an SMS and sends it to the receiver. And the receiver sees, oh, there is a new message. So just do some WAP get, HTTP get, and get the message. Very simple, but costs you like 50 cents each. So MMS messages are kind of boring. They're most structured like email. It's a multi-part MIME message encoded in binary. You have some headers, which is also binary control information. It's really like email, just a little bit different. You have, very boring slide, but you have different message types for each action. So, just for the blogs who really want to go into depth. So the MMS user agent, that's actually the thing we're going to attack. It's the client application, basically. They call it MMS user agent. And the fun thing it is has to handle multiple types of